And we are now here, having reached our decision, and I shall read the decision notice. The hearing was to determine whether or not the subject member breached Fakenham Town Council's Code of Conduct with regard to alleged behaviour relating to an original allegation on the 22nd of March 2024, which relates to disrespectful and bullying behaviour, and a further two matters on the 9th of April 2024 and the 7th of December 2024 concerning sharing confidential information. The two preliminary issues as to whether the matter should proceed in the absence of the subject member and whether the matter should be held in public or private session have been dealt with earlier in this session. And we continued with the public session. In summary, 3 alleged breaches were considered. 1, that during a visit to Alice Park with a fellow councillor, he used disrespectful and bullying behaviour by swearing and his physical demeanour. 2, sharing confidential information by email with FTC on the 9th of April 2024. 3, sharing confidential information by email with Fakenham Town Council on the 7th of December 2024. The evidence heard. The panel members read all the documents before them, including the investigator's report and appendices. 2, heard oral submissions from the investigating officer. 3, heard representations from the complainant. 4, heard from the independent person who gave his views. 5, considered letters and emails sent by the subject member who was not present. The investigating officer's report considered that there were breaches in regard to the subject member's conduct at the meeting relating to Town Council business at Aldis Park, and further, that the subject member shared confidential information with others. She presented her report and addressed the committee on the issue of capacity and freedom of speech. The subject member, whilst having some differing views on circumstances surrounding the behaviour alleged, he did not agree that it occurred with regard to the initial allegation. He made no comment via email, as he was not present, in regard to the sharing of information other than relating to the investigation procedures. Independent person assessment. The independent person provided his views in writing following the final investigation report and again at the hearing. Findings. The committee considered all of the information before them, including the written and oral evidence. With regard to the 2 allegations and then an additional allegation before them at committee, it made the following findings. With regard to all matters, the committee find that the subject member was an elected or co-opted member and was acting in his capacity as a member at the time. Allegation 1, breach. 1, disrespectful and bullying, intimidatory behaviour on the 22nd of March 2024. The committee considered that the town clerk broadly supported what the complainant had alleged in regard to disrespectful and intimidatory behaviour at Aldis Park. The subject member, in his initial comments during the process, did not dispute the main facts, but mocked the complainant. The subject member was given an opportunity to apologise to the complainant, but refused to do so, as he is permitted to do. This, however, would have resolved the matter, but instead it has come before us today. The committee considers that the language towards the complainant was purely personal abuse, and his physical demeanour aggravated this. Having heard from everyone at the meeting and having considered the papers before them, including correspondence from the subject member, the committee found that the behaviour to have occurred and there be a breach of the Fakenham Town Council Code of Conduct in this matter. further breaches. The committee also found that the subject member breached obligations 1 to 5 of the Fakenham Town Council Code of Conduct by the behaviours displayed. He acted disrespectfully to members of staff involved in the investigation. By sharing emails with the town councillors and directly with the members of the Standards Committee prior to the hearing, the committee considered that this breaches paragraph 3 of the member obligations, and it was seeking to improperly confer an advantage. This was also done using the Fakenham Town Council email, which was considered to be inappropriate use of council resources, contrary to paragraph 4. Finally, the committee found that the confidential information was disclosed to members of the town council who were not involved in the standards process. This would contravene paragraph 5 of the code. Further, this had the potential to compromise the process and was not respectful to the complainant. The decision. The committee considers that the subject member did breach the Fakenham Council Town Code of Conduct in respect of the initial allegation regarding disrespectful and intimidating behaviour at Aldis Park. Further, that there are breaches of paragraphs 1 to 5 of the Fakenham Town Council Code of Conduct for the reasons outlined above. I now hand over to the monitoring officer to outline sanctions available.
Thank you. I would refer members to paragraph 5.4 of the report in regard to this matter that sets out that if a breach is found and if a sanction is considered appropriate, any sanction recommended must be reasonable and proportionate. It should be relevant to the subject member's behaviour. So firstly, you'll consider, does there need to be any sanction? The answer to that could be no, but if the answer is yes, it needs to be reasonable and proportionate. And sanctions that may be considered include one or more of the following. And it would be a recommendation to the Fakenham Town Council to, these are the options, a report of the committee's finding made to the relevant town council, issue of a formal censure indicating the committee's displeasure at the behaviour, that the subject member makes an apology. You could consider recommendation, of course, of removal from any or all committees where the subject member sits at the town council. I think in the papers he does sit on a committee. Yes, he sits on the Leisure and Environment Committee subcommittee. Removal from outside appointments where held, that the subject member undertakes specified training. The last two are more problematic, that the town council withdraws facilities provided to the subject member for a limited time, and that the subject member be excluded from town council offices other than when attending formal meetings. I would say in regard to those last possible recommendations, it may not be appropriate in a case such as this. That's more for kind of harassment type behaviour, and that would also then have to be balanced against the need for an elected representative to be able to act on behalf of his constituents. So they're the options you have by way of recommendations to the Fakenham Town Council, and you could opt to choose one or more if you think a sanction is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. I now invite the investigating officer to represent on possible sanctions, please.
Thank you. Following your determination that the subject member has breached the Fakenham Town Council Code of Conduct, I'll address you on the matter of sanctions I feel appropriate. Following what's been presented to you today, and in accordance with the legal position in relation to freedom of expression, any sanction imposed must be of the minimum that is necessary to uphold public interest in local government being conducted to a standard which maintains public confidence. I would remind you that the subject member has been given opportunities to engage with the investigation process and offer an apology to the complainant had this been taken up. It would have avoided this matter proceeding through both this timely and costly process. The subject member has since the incident behaved unprofessionally and without remorse. This only goes to aggravate the breaches identified. I'm of the view that the breaches fall within the scope of an apology from the subject member to the complainant concerned. I know that my report does say a written apology, but given the recent sharing of confidential information by the subject member to Fakenham Town Council, if the committee consider it befitting, a public apology would be a sanction to consider. I would also urge the Standards Committee, if they see fit, to request that the subject member attend bullying and harassment and some general standards training. As a conclusion, in support of my recommendation, I refer you to our London Borough of Ealing, in which a councillor posted racist comments on a public blog concerning an Indian community in Southall. The court upheld the original committee decision, requiring the councillor to issue a public apology. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And now turn to our independent person to make his views felt.
I agree with what your investigating officer said, and I just emphasise I think the importance of training and education, and not just harassment, but sort of behaviour that causes harassment, alarm, and distress to people who may be on the receiving end of it.
Thank you very much. Now I think we retire to look to sanctions. I'll return.
Once again, I'll retire with members, but just to confirm that I have no part in the decision making, including the decision of any sanction. I'm just there to assist with the formulation of any facts and reasons for their decision. Thank you.
Right, then we have returned now to give a summary of the committee's decision on sanctions. The committee, having found that the subject member breached the Fakenham Town Council Code of Conduct, gave all parties the opportunity to make any representation as to what, if any, sanction would be appropriate. The committee, having considered the papers and any representations made, considered if there were any mitigating and aggravating factors and took the following into account. Aggravating factors. The subject member was given opportunities to make an apology and therefore resolve this matter, but failed to do so. Consistent disrespectful behaviour throughout the investigation towards officers and sharing information inappropriately. Mitigating factors. He apologised to the clerk who was present, although not to the complainant. The subject member was not present to make any personal mitigation, but there were some comments in his emails that were noted regarding his personal situation. Recommendations. The committee considered what recommendations should be made to Fakenham Town Council in respect of sanctions. It considered, with reference to its findings and the aggravating and mitigating factors, that the following sanctions would be appropriate. 1. A report of the committee's findings made to the Fakenham Town Council. 2. Issue of a formal censure detailing the displeasure of the behaviour. 3. The committee considers that the subject member be required to make clear and unreserved public apology relating to his behaviour at Aldis Park on the 22nd of March 2024. Such apology needs to acknowledge that the comment made was disrespectful towards the complainant and should be made by the subject member, the next Fakenham Town Council that he attends, following any resolution to adopt these recommendations by the Fakenham Town Council. 4. Removal from the Leisure and Environment Subcommittee, any other committees and outside appointments until such time as the training below is recorded and as completed by the Fakenham Town Council and the apology being carried out. 5. The committee recommends that the subject matter member be required to undertake and complete appropriate training in Code of Conduct, Data Protection and GDPR within 6 months of the date of the hearing, 19th of 12th, 24. Such training will be considered appropriate where it is approved in writing by the Fakenham Town Council and will be considered as completed where Fakenham Town Council is satisfied that it has been completed and provides such confirmation in writing to the subject member. It is recommended to the Fakenham Town Council that it does arrange such training within this period. This part of the meeting, yes, that's right. Yes, I can now close this section of the meeting.
Madam Chair, we do have another item to consider on our agenda. I don't know whether the independent person and the investigating officer may be.
Yes, you may not be wish to stay here for that, so you are quite welcome to leave while we get onto the next part of the agenda. Thank you for coming. moving to item 6, excerpts from the monitoring officer's annual report.
Thank you. In my annual monitoring officer report, which is presented to the Governance, Risk and Audit Committee, there's an appendix which summarises the code of conduct complaints dealt with in the previous year and the outcomes. And as you are the Standards Committee, my general process is to also then share this summary with yourselves for information, consideration, and any questions you may have. As you can see, there's quite a few.
Thank you for those. Yes, we're having looked through. I don't think I have any specific questions at the moment. Do any of the other councillors have any questions? No. Okay, well, thank you. No, we have no further questions.
Thank you.
Item 7. Yep, moving on to item 7. Any other business?
Just in regard to independent persons, the Standards Committee agreed to appoint 2 independent persons. We do have 2. Obviously, we have Mr. Monteith, who was here today. We have another independent person, but we haven't been able to contact them for a considerable number of months and have written to them to try to see if they are still interested in continuing with us. I think the situation is such that we may need to ask for the committee to support writing to our other independent person with a kind of request that they come back to us, and if they don't, or if they're unable to carry on, giving us some support to look to go out to recruit a replacement.
Okay, thank you for that information. So there's nothing I'm aware of exclusion.
It's
That's
just,
the end of.
yeah, if I could just see that
sorry.
members would be happy with me
Oh, yes,
taking that
sorry,
route.
yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes. 4 yeses there. That being the end of today's business, we can now close the meeting. Thank you for your attendance.
Chair.